Welcome back to our journey through the Three Kingdoms era. Last time, we saw the Han dynasty teetering on the brink, crippled by corruption and palace intrigue. Today, we witness the spark that ignites the empire into a full-blown inferno, the Yellow Rebellion. Imagine you're a peasant in the late 2nd century. Your family has farmed this land for generations, but now things are dire. The emperor is a puppet, controlled by powerful eunuchs in the capital who demand ever-increasing taxes. Local officials are just as greedy, squeezing every last coin from you to fund their lavish lifestyles. To make matters worse, a series of famines and floods have destroyed your crops. Your children are hungry, your elders are sick, and the government offers no relief. Desperation hangs heavy in the air, thicker than the dust on the barren fields. Into this despair steps a man named Zhang Jue. He wasn't a general or a nobleman, he was a Taoist healer, a wandering mystic who traveled the countryside. But he offered something more potent than any medicine: hope. Zhang Jue preached a new doctrine, the Way of Supreme Peace, or Taiping Tao. He told the suffering masses that their plight was a sign. The blue heaven of the Han dynasty had lost its mandate, and a new yellow heaven was destined to rise. He wasn't just talk. Zhang Jue and his two brothers, Zhang Bao and Zhang Liang, used their knowledge of healing to treat the sick. They provided free care, distributed talismans, and performed public rituals, often involving confession of sins. To the people who had been abandoned by their government, this was a miracle. They saw Zhang Jue not just as a leader, but as a messiah, the great teacher. His following grew at an astonishing rate. Hundreds of thousands of desperate peasants flocked to his banner. They organized themselves into a secret quasi-military society with 36 divisions spread across 8 provinces. The symbol of their movement was simple but powerful: a yellow strip of cloth tied around their heads, the yellow turbans. For years they prepared in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. Their plan was meticulous. The uprising was scheduled to begin on a specific day in the year 184, a Jiazi year in the sexagenary cycle, which held deep mystical significance. A coded message was sent to all followers. The blue heaven is already dead. The yellow heaven is about to be established. In the year of Jiazi, there will be prosperity under heaven. Banners were made, weapons were stockpiled, mostly crude farming tools, sharpened bamboo poles, and wooden spears, and a coordinated attack was planned to seize control of cities across the empire. But secrets are hard to keep. One of Zhang Jue's disciples betrayed the plot to the imperial court. The authorities in the capital, Luoyang, were thrown into a panic. They launched a preemptive strike, arresting and executing over 1,000 of Zhang Jue's followers within the city. The element of surprise was lost. Forced to act, Zhang Jue ordered the rebellion to begin immediately, a month earlier than planned. And just like that, the empire exploded. From the dusty plains of the north to the fertile river valleys of the south, hundreds of thousands of yellow turbans rose up. They stormed government offices, killed corrupt officials, and opened granaries to feed the starving population. The initial shock was overwhelming. Local garrisons, unprepared and undermanned, were quickly overrun. For a terrifying moment, it seemed like the yellow turbans might actually succeed in toppling the Han. The imperial court, for all its corruption, was not entirely helpless. Emperor Ling finally jolted into action, gave 3 of his most trusted court officials, He Jin, Lu Ji, and Huangfu Song, command of the imperial armies. He also lifted the restrictions on provincial governors, allowing them to raise their own troops and defend their territories. This decision would have massive, unforeseen consequences later on, but for now, it was a necessary evil to combat the rebellion. The war was brutal and chaotic. The imperial armies were better trained and equipped, but the yellow turbans had overwhelming numbers and a fanatic zeal. They fought with the desperation of people who had nothing left to lose. The countryside became a patchwork of burning villages and smoke-filled battlefields. The tide began to turn against the rebels. The imperial general Lu Ji successfully besieged Zhang Jue himself at Guangzong. Another general, Huangfu Song, scored a major victory against Zhang Liang. But the rebellion was far from over. Zhang Jue, though trapped, continued to inspire his followers. He was the heart of the movement. Then fate intervened. Zhang Jue, the great teacher who had promised a new era, fell ill and died. His death was a devastating blow to the rebellion's morale. Without their charismatic leader, the movement began to splinter. His brother Zhang Liang took command at Guangzong, but was soon defeated and killed by Huangfu Song's forces. The last of the 3 brothers, Zhang Bao, was also tracked down and eliminated. With the death of the 3 Zhang brothers, the main force of the Yellow Turban Rebellion was broken. The imperial armies methodically crushed the remaining pockets of resistance, and the official histories would declare the rebellion suppressed by early 185. But this was far from the truth. While the main rebellion was defeated, its spirit lived on. For years, even decades afterward, smaller bands of rebels, still wearing the iconic yellow headscarves, continued to fight across the empire. They were no longer a unified threat to the dynasty, but they were a constant source of instability, a festering wound that refused to heal. The Yellow Turban Rebellion ultimately failed to establish its yellow heaven, but its impact was profound and irreversible. In its desperation to quell the uprising, the Han court had given immense military power to provincial warlords. Men like Cao Cao, Liu Bei, and Sun Jian all got their start fighting the Yellow Turbans. They built up their own private armies and carved out their own territories. The central government's authority was shattered, never to be fully restored. The rebellion had exposed the fatal weakness of the Han dynasty and unleashed the very forces that would tear it apart. The chaos Zhang Jue had unleashed did not end with his death. Instead, it set the stage for a new, even bloodier conflict, the struggle for power among the ambitious warlords. The era of the Three Kingdoms was about to begin. Thanks for watching. We've seen how the desperation of the people erupted into a massive rebellion that shook the foundations of an empire. Next time, we'll meet the ambitious figures who rose from this chaos to become the legendary heroes of the Three Kingdoms. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss it. See you then.